Shaders and materials. That's what we're doing for this month. It's something I have very little experience and it scares me. I'm not like crap with math, but I'm not massively confident with maths either. And I know a lot of this stuff can boil down to the complicated stuff can boil down to maths, but I think there's plenty you can achieve without being a math wizard anyway. So yeah, setting some objectives for what I want to achieve for this. So objectives for the month. I'd like to be able to confidently talk about shaders and materials. Because at the moment, it's only this morning before starting stream, I was like, what's the difference between a material and a shader? So this includes things like being able to define both, knowing what we can use them to achieve, what we can use. It's mainly shaders or the materials to achieve. Yeah. Knowing or understanding what kind of feeds into setting up a material as well. Involved in materials or configuring materials. I didn't want to say setup twice in a sentence, so we went with configuring. Yeah, that sort of thing. So confidently talk about shaders and materials. So about okay, it's confidently talk generally. Let's say generally talk about, you know, not in depth, crazy, know loads of stuff, but just like be able to maintain a normal conversation. Or if someone who knows this stuff is talking to you about it, that I can engage with it. Okay, yeah. So being able to engage with someone who knows their stuff about this, about not this shaders, materials. Instead of someone who knows the stuff. Listen and understand, I guess. More. Hello there, Spacey. Oh my gosh, why am I struggling so much just to write objectives? I basically just mean that it allows us to access intermediate, yeah, be able to access intermediate and advanced level shader or material tutorials, that sort of thing. I guess that sums it up, right? So that's the main thing, and then secondly, I want to go ahead and I want to create a few examples. Yeah, okay, so create or use shaders and materials. I think materials and shaders sounds better. So we want to use materials and shaders to achieve a few different effects, let's say. So one of which would be like a dissolve is one thing. And then another thing we talked about was water. Now things like cell shading or etc. or things like that, where you're adding like a border around everything or changing kind of everything that's rendered in your scene. That tends to be covered in post-processing. I'm not too sure if we will have time to get into that. Extended. Look into post-processing. But yeah, you can do some interesting things with post-processing. And I think someone explained it to me as post-processing is, it's kind of like a shader, but where the material it operates on is what the camera is rendering in its entirety, rather than being normally a material is assigned to like an object in the world. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'd like to be looking at. So let's first go, what do we want? Some definitions, maybe? Definitions of the different ones that we've got here. So first off, a material. What is a material? A material, I've looked this before, but it might, we've got the docs. You can probably get it from here. I'm not too sure what category this all falls into. Engine features, possibly. Should have pressed the plus. Rendering and graphics could be in that. Niagara. I'm gonna look at sequence stuff soon as well. Foliage, landscaping, level streaming. It's quite. Yeah, I'd love to. I need to make time just to go through all of this stuff. Some of the things I have, like there's a thing on packaging and cooking games that's one of the topics we put. If we remember, we did this at one point. We've made our list of things we'd like to go through, and it is useful when comparing to what the UE4 docs have as well. Some of the docs are good, some of them are less good, but yeah, so I'm going to guess this is within our visual rendering and graphics. Fog effects, dynamic, I don't know what pipeline state object, no idea what that is. Materials. Post-processing effects, the shaders is alphabetic in here. Maybe, I don't, yeah, I'm not too sure. When does shader development come into rendering? So in that graphics programming, which is within the programming guide. Oh, okay. I guess it's because it is. So shaders, to my understanding, a shader, a material will take a series of textures or a texture, and then you tell it, you apply that material to an object, and it's the way that you want colors and light and things to interact with that object. Shader and the other side of it is some code that will run over that material, and it has the ability to change it. And that can be, imagine it going over pixel by pixel and setting going through some rules saying, shall I change this based on certain conditions? Hey, Black Belt. Okay, so we've got this one. I think we're going to start with materials because materials are probably more important. Today we are trying to learn about materials and shaders, which are things I don't really know a lot about, but we're going to go through anyway. So material is an asset that can be applied to a mesh to control the visual look of the scene. At a high level, it's probably easiest to think of material as the paint that is applied to an object. But even that can be a little misleading, since material literally defines the type of surface from what your object appears to be made of. Yeah, so I've done a tiny bit with materials before. I know that you can change it so it's like rough, or whether or not it's like reflective and things like that. Define its color, how shiny it is, whether you can see through the object, and much, much more. In more technical terms, when light from the scene hits the surface, a material is used to calculate how that light interacts with that surface. Those calculations are done using incoming data that is input to the material from a variety of images, so textures, and math expressions, as well as from various property settings inherited to the material itself. Okay, that does kind of make sense, because essentially we kind of have you kind of have a graph. We'll probably see an editor in a bit. You have a graph where you give it a texture, and then you can apply some rules to that, and then you end up passing it to the material in the end. So that's our kind of rules of saying this is the data that you should be kind of looking at. As it said here, the material is used to calculate how the light interacts with that surface. So we're telling it. Then you can give it things like height maps and UV maps, is it? I think it is, which will tell you like which direction the face, which direction that texture is meant to be facing. If it wasn't just a flat 2D sprite, that you're telling it which way the light should go. I guess this is, I'm not really explaining it very well, but this is one of the reasons I got my tablet, is so I can try and explain these weird concepts that I don't properly understand, but it helps me understand it if I try and explain it. It's another benefit to it as well. Try. Okay, so we're gonna make a new one. Portrait. I don't know what these are. I don't think we want to paint though. Okay, whatever. Okay, so this is Monthly Gamedev. Gamedev Challenge 3. Let's just do that for now. And yeah, as always, you can change one to be your default, so it doesn't always start on that. But yeah, my understanding is if we had like a, oh, it's green. Hello. Let's take this up a bit. Okay, yeah. So if we had like a block in the world, we can give this a texture. So, and the texture is just going to be like a literal, like 2-dimensional set of pixels. And we might want to make it look like a wood crate, for example. So this might end up looking, let's just choose some rough brown color to, you might end up having like some frame to it, and then some slightly more yellow kind of planks going across it or something along these lines. I don't know what crates look like this, but just bear with me. So this is our texture. It would be filled, but I'm not filling it because I'm using this tool at the moment. You can imagine just the squiggle in these bits and they're all colored, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so you could pass that so that it's applied to this on all edges of it. So then this kind of shape here would basically be drawn on all of these. Hello there, Hydrosafi. I use both. I try and use CPP mostly. Nothing wrong with using either of them. So yeah, if you imagine this is being like portrayed onto here there. So this is purely if we were just to give it a texture, to give it the colors. So we have a material that is applied to this. So this is our texture. Let's go choose a different color to make it more obvious. So up here is our texture. This is my current understanding, by the way. And essentially we then create a material. So in this middle ground, yeah, we kind of, and we just select to move it across. Don't know if it lets me just do that. Yeah, okay, cool. So we basically have a material. So that material here, we'll just color it again. We'll just draw it as a ball, a magical material. So this is our material here. Okay, so this material will take inputs, and this is telling us how the light should bounce off of this object. So when we have our wonderful light shining down onto this, we need to know what the camera should see, like our eyes, how it works. Well done, Spacey. Balrog probably hates that. What do you use, Hydra? And yes, I remember your Soccer Dead Match Day and many various names, aren't you? Okay, so some of the things that feed into this, right, is we have our color. So this is just telling us what colors we should see when it's rendered. So here's our color, and I'm going to write it in the UK style because I can. So this feeds into here, right? But then there's other things you can do. Is you can feed into it information about where, like which bits should look like taller. Even though this is just a 2D texture, you basically give this a, I think it's called a UV map, is it? Or a height map? I can't remember if they're the same thing or different things. You basically give it another map here, and you use special colors. I can't remember. They're like, I'm pretty sure it's like these sort of colors. Oh, what? These sort of colors here that you use, which signify there's like a color wheel. Oh wow, this is terrible, but it doesn't matter. There's a color wheel that signifies direction, basically. So it means like kind of which direction should light bounce off of it. So that means if you shone a light on this and moved the light around, it wouldn't look static. It would kind of react to that. So you kind of color bits of this based on how it would look. I can't remember exactly how that color works, but this is just, yeah, it doesn't quite work like this, but this is my loose understanding, remember? So we're kind of, and this is what we're hoping to build on over the next few weeks. Spacey's probably, I mean, she was proud and then she realized that she's on your level. Yes, I think you're right there. So I think this was called a, I want to say UV, but I don't. Should we just call it, I think it's definitely called a UV, even though UVs was different in modeling. So I think this was a UV, and this basically passes in like the height of things. No, the direction which light should pass into it. So you can pass things like that into it as well. And you can also pass in a like a roughness texture as well. So let me just move all of these up. Oops. Why? Oh, is this? Is there a chance I have this on the wrong layer? I think I did. Yeah, sweet. Okay. Can we merge these? No, what does this do? Duplicate layer, delete layer. I swear there's a way you can combine them. Okay, well, that's really annoying. You must be able to do it. Collapse layers. Why wasn't it not in the menu here? Silly. Anyway. Why are you doing this? Because I don't know how to do materials in that properly anyway, dude. And it's just because we're talking about it, Balrog. It's like an introduction to a topic. So you don't need to have other barriers. We're just talking concepts here. I'm okay with how I'm doing this. I also feel that now the selection tool has gone from here. I don't want to crop. This before used to be a select. Now it's changed. I don't understand this software. It's a bit crap if I'm... Okay. So all I was going to get at after this anyway was just that you could also have a different one down here. So this would be similar, that we'd have another texture that we're passing in. And on this, it might just be like different patches of... we'd use this to denote which bits of it does not reflect light off. So the bits which are black won't reflect, and then the bits which are white will reflect. So you might end up having like a, I mean, if we change to get a pencil, so we have some variance in when we're, So the light gray will be a little bit shiny. The dark bit, so if we wanted to have like a... I'm trying to think how this would be. I mean, it doesn't make sense with this, actually. But yeah, I guess it does. You could just give it some kind of grainy texture here. So you might actually like make grainy wood kind of patterns. They're the bits that you don't want it to be as shiny. But then the wood surface you'd want to be more shiny, perhaps. So these might be like you don't want light to bounce off of the gaps between them. Just as a rough example. So then this would be our kind of roughness map. And this also feeds then into this material. So all of those things combined are applied to a 3D kind of static mesh then. And then that controls how we see it. When light bounce off of it, what we actually see. When we look at it through a camera in our game engines, etc. My roughness map is backwards. Oh, is it? So what? White is rough and black is reflective, is it? Thank you. So like, I don't know this stuff. I'm like, we're looking to kind of learn it all from scratch. I'm just trying to explain the limit of my knowledge at the moment and what we're looking to build on. White is more rough. Okay, great. Thank you. So this would be backwards. Inverted by accident. Thank you. So what that happens is that then when the GPU, I imagine, is deciding what each pixel should look like, it will say, well, what at this particular point on the camera, what is going to be the most forward-facing object in the scene? So I think it like traces from the camera forward. I'm guessing. I really don't know about this. And the first thing it hits, it will then render that, and it will then work out what object it is, what texture it is, where on the object it is, so what part of the texture it would be hitting, and it would basically be using the material to decide how that pixel should look. That's my rough, very programmer understanding of this stuff. So that's what we're going to be trying to like build our understanding on, at least. So textures are these kind of images, these flat 2D images that we then we use a bunch of them for different reasons to give information, which is kind of described in a material, which is then applied to a physical object. So let me take a sip of my drink and we'll carry on. Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and like, some of them do seem like they kind of like invert of one another. Sorry, Balrog, I've missed some of your jokes. What type of underwear does a yard wear? Lingerie. Thank you. That was a good one. But a yard doesn't wear underwear, Balrog. That's the thing. You know why Amish SUV gets such bad mileage? Balrog, your jokes are getting worse. Come on. You can't have run out of them. I feel like your source of dad jokes is just like, is run dry and you're really scraping the barrel. Come on. I like the envelope thing. Although I find that more of a riddle rather than a dad joke. Okay, so a material is an asset that can be applied to a mesh to control the visual look. The visual look of a scene at a high level, it's probably easiest to think of it as the paint, as we read earlier, right? It defines the color, how shiny it is, whether you see through the object, and much more. And by here, when light from the scene hits the surface, the material is used to calculate how the light interacts with that surface. Okay, sweet. These calculations are done using incoming data. Is input to the material from a variety of images. Those textures that we were just looking at here. These are the variety of images. That's what made me wanted to look at that. And math expressions. Okay, sweet. So let's have a look then. So storing custom data in material per primitive. I hold on. Is this like a? Are these in a good order? I just don't feel like this. What does this title even mean? Right now, I don't quite understand. Is there like... There's a how-to. But I just feel like this is not like a... Later courses. I think I did the Unreal course on it, actually. Production workflow. Exploring... design visualizations. I've seen PBR, but I don't even know what it means right now. Yeah, I think I've gone through this course before, but it won't hurt to have a look at it, I guess, especially since this isn't paid stuff. It makes it nicer to be able to look at on stream. Well, now that I can't remember my password. I think we're in. Oh, sorry, it's asking a bunch of questions. Just gotta finish filling this out quickly. Start learning now. Unreal Academy. There we go. Why do I always sound... well, it's just the content. It's that thrilling, mate. One or the other. No middle ground. How are you doing, Coppercasted? Okay, I might need to change my headphones. Or actually, no, I'll just pause. I got music going on my phone, but I'll just pause that. And I'll check in my headphones. My other type of headphones. And we'll get started on this. I don't know. I can't see... For me, we might start looking through this document before I start this, actually. But to me, the first thing inside here basically just says, storing custom data. Is this going to make sense to us when we start reading it? Using materials to store custom data in an index array that is accessible through Blueprint and code to effectively affect changes for scene primitives when using the custom primitive data workflow. This is like, this really feels like... Yeah, I don't think it's introducing us to stuff, is it? I think these are just little, all different features that they have in here. Unfortunately. This doesn't really seem to... Yeah. Like, I don't know what a custom primitive data is. Like, so I guess we're just going to go through some tutorial stuff. That might be a better start point. So this is free on the Unreal website if you ever want to do it yourself. We're going to listen to it faster than normal. And
hi and welcome. My name is Young, and welcome to this course on material essential concepts. We're going to go through the essentials of working with textures and material editor in the Unreal Engine. We will look at texture sizes and compression and how to import them. We will build the first material and talk through how to work with physical-based rendering within materials. And then once we have got that covered, we will dive deeper into the material editor itself by going through common expressions, material inputs, and other material properties such as different shading modes and blend modes. We will go through all of these topics by building small but fun examples. For instance, a material for a curtain moving in the wind, or a rock material that blends in a grass texture at the top of a model it is applied to.
Ready, set, learn. You've been told. Is this the same one? Don't be this. Oh, it's good. It doesn't go to the next one automatically, or does it? Material.
Hi and welcome. My name is Young.
No. Okay. Next. Oh, we need project files. What is this? Many of the courses of company project files. We're currently working on moving all the projects to Epic Games Stores Marketplace. Easy download. gosh, what is this? Where's the more information tab? Oh. Within the course, access the link or code from the more information tab. Can anyone see the more information tab? I really hate when just things are not done in a way that's going to make things easy for people to access. I don't know if it's just me, but it bothers me massively. It puts people off learning so much when you just can't flip in. Okay, it did say something back here about copy the URL course. I remember seeing something here. Okay, so on the page where it says about getting the project files, it doesn't have the links. But on this first one, it does. Great. Let's not complain. At least we found them. Thank you, Wormus, for saying, by the way. Okay, so we've got some files here. I'm guessing we just download the whole thing, right? Can you just right click and download? Oh, download. Oh, crikey, it's 1.6 gigabyte. Fun. How much is this one? Oh, that one's better. I will download both of those and we'll just carry on, I guess. I really don't want this video to stress me out, though. Like, having the motivation to learn in the first place is one thing, and then having to battle with systems is another. Okay, fine. Whatever. You said how to go through these files. Start. We get it. We go to the box code place. We go there. We downloaded it. Unzip them. Go into the game. I hate how the arrow changes position each time as well on the next. It's really crappy UX. We launched the Unreal Engine. It's a bit lower this time. Go browse. Unzip folder location and select the U project file. So there's a U project file in there as well. Okay, projects created in earlier versions will give you the option to open a copy. Okay, sweet. Well, for all courses within projects, you can also access the documentation on how to use the code in here. I'm not too sure where that is, to be honest, but we got this. Well, the additional references link. Oh, is this an additional references link? There's nothing in there. We're having a blast. Here we go. Next module. Oh, and you got to reset the video speed every time.
In this
Sorry, I'm going to get really impatient with this.
Look at textures. What we would like to do is import a number of textures from a door into the Unreal Engine. And by doing so, we're going to have to take a look at texture sizes and requirements that come with it, common formats used, the actual process of importing textures, and a brief word about compression. Now, as part of the content that came with this chapter, you will have these 4 textures over here. And if we open them up in Photoshop or any other package of choice, we will get this. This is the diffuse texture. You can see _D from diffuse, _N from normal map,
Normal's not UV,
and _R from roughness. Now, exactly what the metallic and roughness map do, by the way, we'll cover that in a later chapter. Right now, the most important thing for us is how do we get these images into the Unreal Engine? And to do so...
Just quickly, I'm going to pause this just to say this was meant to be our normal map. Sorry, writing with a mouse at the moment. Okay, sweet.
We need to make sure they have the right size. So in image size, you can see it's set to 2048. It has to be exactly this number or a similar one to it. These textures are already the right size, but if you look here back at my slides, it has to be one of these values for it to be correct. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and all the way up to 8192, power of 2 essentially, those are acceptable values. Combinations are fine too, so a texture could be 16 in width, but 4096 pixels in height. That's fine too, but it has to be one of these numbers. If you would import something that's not
sorry, I'm just trying to
resolution, it will still import, and it will still seemingly look okay, but those are 96 pixels in height.
Be able to write notes.
It has to be one of these numbers. If you would import something that's not one of these numbers, that's a different resolution, it will still import, and it will still seemingly look okay, but those textures will not have mipmaps. Now, exactly what mipmaps are is kind of a deeper discussion, and it's a little bit too much for an introductory course, but essentially a mipmap is a smaller version of the same texture. So the engine will generate different resolution versions of each texture it imports, so that in the distance, rather than displaying the full resolution image, it can display the lower resolution texture or image. And by doing so, it will save memory, it will make it easier to stream in textures as well, and it will visually smoothen out the image a little bit. So long discussion what mipmaps are, exactly how they work, and exactly when you need them. So essentially it goes like this. If you're uncertain whether or not you need mipmaps, you probably need them. 95% of the content needs mipmaps, therefore if uncertain, always stick to one of these numbers and you'll be fine. You can't go wrong then.
Okay, cool. So the main thing we got there was the textures when you import them need to be base 2 effectively, otherwise you don't get mipmaps. And mipmaps is a way the engine automatically kind of downscales, I think, textures when you're viewing them. So for example, when you view them from further away and don't need the full detail. Okay, I think that's what we got from that. Next. Oh, so it literally says here on every other one, other than the one that says get the project files, it says this. It's so stupid. Anyway, I'm not here to size everything, I promise.
So the next section would be about format of the textures. You can see the textures you had with this chapter are DGA files. If you do save as, you can see they're Targa, DGA.
D is diffuse.
Back to the editor, and you don't have to copy me here. I'm going to do this very fast, but I simply want to have the list here of formats supported by the engine. It's a little bit big.
Okay, TGA files as well.
Import dialog of Unreal. You can see all the formats that it accepts, and you can see an entire section here on texture. So these are all the texture 2D formats except. I think there's a couple more, some left and right in the rest of the list, but these are the most important ones. And out of this list, we mostly care about PSD, the Photoshop files themselves, or again TGA. PSD is used commonly because it's simply very handy. Because while working in Photoshop, you don't have to resave your image in a different format. You can simply import your working file PSD, and it'll simply work. But TGA is commonly accepted. TGA is essentially uncompressed, but with support for alpha channels, which makes it the preferred choice. Bitmap, for example, doesn't really have the same level of support, even though it's also uncompressed. JPEG and the others are not advised because they have compression in them.
Yeah.
So PSD or TGA. And by the way, it doesn't matter really which format you pick.
Why not PNG?
Once imported into the engine, it is going to be compressed.
I think that still compresses.
About later on in one of the next few sections, but the compression will cause all of these to become the same format internally within the engine. So whether you've imported a 1 GB large PSD file or say a 1 MB large JPEG, internally it becomes the same type of file with the same file size and the same style of compression. Either way, PSD or TGA. Now, in terms of importing these, there's 3 different ways of doing it, and it's all the same. So in the content browser here at the bottom, in the folder where you would like to import the textures, and I'm currently in, if you don't have this list of folders by the way on the left, it's this button over here that shows you the folders. And I'm currently located in Fundamentals, Materials, Essential Concepts, and then Start Assets. And in Start Assets, I'm going to right click in the empty space here on the right, and I'm going to do Import To.
So I'm just writing notes on this as we go as well.
We'll navigate to where we have the textures saved. In my case, that's over here. And you simply select them there and press open. Now, I'm not going to do that because I'd like to show you the second way of working. So I'm going to cancel that and press the button import here.
These different ways to get textures into the engine.
So I'm going to cancel that again as well. And the third way of working would be to simply use Windows Explorer, select the textures in there, and simply drag them to the content browser.
Yeah, that's how we would often do things as well.
Wait a couple of seconds. That will also import your textures. So there you are. You have your textures ready to go.
Okay, how's our download coming along at the moment?
You can immediately save them if you'd like.
Not too bad then, is it? I don't really know where to extract this to. I think this has a folder in it. Give me just a moment. Sorry, this is a bit choppy. But I thought that the documentation was going to be something to kind of just follow through. But sorry, we just want to export this. Okay, just extracting that big file into there, and then we'll do this one as well. That's extra, right? Raven route, not today. So let's go to the Honest Drive, Unreal, Repos, Monthly Gamedev Challenge 3. Into that. Got those covered now, and then we can try and catch up with where they were. So I think we ended up going into the engine here. We're working the most recent version of the engine. And then in there we should have textures as well. That's okay. So new project. We want to open a project, don't we? Yeah, open. Oh, did that open one that I was selected? Oh, it did. Sorry, people. Try not to get frustrated. It's not going good at the moment. Okay, over here. Select or create a new project. So I guess we want to create a new project. Can we do it from a folder though? Browse. There we go. Okay, we want to go into this. That one. So we open a copy. Although it is one quite large already, but okay. Well, it did say to try doing it that way, so let's do it that way so we don't need to. Oh, I could just extract it again actually, so regardless. Seems to be opening fine on the other screen at the moment. It's taking a bit of time to do so. Okay, so essentially let's just finish watching this one off.
And do save. You can see that removes a little asterisk symbol on the bottom left. That means they have now been saved.
Okay, so the start of this one.
So the next section would be.
Let's just mute this a sec. Again. So he's talking about the different texture types. Where's the scrubber at the bottom? It doesn't move as you do that. Oh, every time you release. Oh no, it works now. Before it was disappearing every time I release. So this is just literally talking about the textures, and then we brought them in. Where were they at? Textures. So this is in fundamental class materials, and then door, I think it was. We're stuck on 39% of this opening. I don't think I can show you on screen. It's just the initializing window of the editor. I guess we can, in the meantime, we can get that open as a ready to get the materials in. Content. Is it lighting and rendering? Is it? Fundamental class. Oh. Is it just this one instead then? Yeah, I think it's this one. There's the doors. And this is the copy, I'm guessing. Yeah, this is the copy that it's making now while it's open. Just so you can see what I can see on my other screen. stuck on 39% for a good 2 minutes. This is what I'm looking. Okay, so they're the textures that we're going to import. And we'll be importing them. And he's putting them into a folder within Essential Concepts, Start Assets. Just dropping them in there. Okay. Come on, Unreal. This is stuck on 39%. Okay, while this is doing, I guess I can just ignore the doc. Is this another course, I'm guessing? Yeah. Okay. I'll wait before I can look at. Before I did when I was first learning about Unreal, I did a bunch on, well, a little bit on materials and that as well. So let me try and find that document. Don't know if I've put it in here. I think it's in this one. Did I not write notes on it? I would have written notes, and I don't think I did. We can check in the Unreal Engine bit. But there's not extensive notes in that document. Yeah, official Unreal material. So those are the basic what material is, and then use the graph to build up different materials. This is base color, metallic properties, roughness, normal map, looping 2 different things together. Cheers, winner. Nice to see you. Looping 2 different things together, accessing specific color channels, combining things. Yeah, I've forgotten how all this works. Physically based rendering, that's what the PBR means that I saw earlier. Material instancing and dynamic materials we also cover briefly. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I did before, which was this course before. We're not going to go through this now, but when was this though? 2017. It's not that long ago. But we're hoping to still get some value out of it. Unfortunately, like it's just stuck at 39% this project, so I'm just going to close it and we're going to have to try again. It's not going well today, people. Okay, we don't have one here, right? This is the copy I tried to make anyway to open. We'll see whether it gets stuck again. 18%, 39%. If it gets past 39%, we've done better than last time. It's hanging on 39%. Right, any notes on the materials it does, which is a bit of a shame. Start. Oh, this is shaders. I was gonna say the quick start is kind of what we want materials there, right? Is it my internet or is it just Unreal website is not working now. Everything's going right. Alright, I might just have a brief look on Google anyway, see if anyone has written any guide, like see what we've got. This person comes up for both materials and shaders as well. I might have visited this page before. I have. These paid based ones, or are they free? There's a lot of bananas, which I'm excited about. Okay, it's like a learning site. Well, while I'm waiting for the project folder to open over 40%, which I feel would probably be sensible to do. Just try and have a little look through this, I guess, for now. Bananas. The game contains a variety of objects, each with their own appearance. In Unreal Engine, materials define these appearances. What color is it? How shiny is it? Is it transparent? These are all defined within a material. Materials are used for pretty much any visual element in Unreal Engine. You can apply materials to various things, such as meshes, particles, and UI elements. Oh, that's the point, it's not just meshes. In this tutorial, you will learn how to manipulate textures to change their brightness and color, use material instances to quickly create variations, use dynamic material instances to change the color of the avatar that collects items. By the way. Yeah, so I remember I did do a bit about this. You make a base one and you expose out a property, so you don't have to make the whole material again. You use the same setup in the material base, but then in each instance one, then you just change the exposed properties of it. So I remember doing a bit about that. Getting started up. Navigating the material and blueprint editors. I think we'll okay, so material. Wow, this is like really early on. This might be super basic. I'm not sure. Let's see. Download the starter project and then zip it. Oh, we're not going to do this. We're already doing one starter project. I'm just waiting for the shaders to compile for it. Okay. Bananas. Press play and control a red cube using WSAD key. Collect bananas when moving into them. You will modify the banana material to change its brightness. Navigate to the materials folder and double click on M banana. Open it in the material editor. It'll look like this. For just the brightness of the banana, you need to manipulate its texture. So this is the default texture. We need to make that brighter. Are we going to times it by 2? Everything twice? I don't know. We will. At its most basic, a texture is an image, and an image is a collection of pixels. In a colored image, a color of a pixel is determined by its red, green, and blue values or channels. Below is an example of a 2x2 image with each pixel's RGB values labeled. Okay, so the top one is 100. This is 0.51, 0.3. Yeah, okay, and gray being 0.5 times 3. Okay, notice in Unreal Engine, the range of RGB channel is 0 to 1. However, in most other applications, the range of RGB is to 0 to 2.5, so we've just normalized it. These are just different ways of displaying the same information. It does not mean Unreal color range is smaller. Yeah, that is fine. Texture manipulation works by performing an operation on every pixel of the texture. Operations can be something as simple as adding a value to the channel. Below is an example of clamping each channel to a range of 0.4 to 1. You can see by minimum we've added 0.4 to the lower bounds of all of them. That's kind of made them brighter as a result, right? Yeah. I guess, yeah, because all ones would be making something white, right? Yeah, so if everything was white, it'd be 111. So if you force everything to be on the way to that, then you're going to get a shade of kind of grey and lose the vibrance of the actual color itself. But okay. So next you'll see, hang on, here's how you would do this in the material editor. You'd get the texture sample that we're applying to something, and we would then clamp it, say it has to be between 0.4 and 0.1. Next you'll use the multiply node to adjust the brightness of a texture. I mean, isn't that what this is kind of doing? Is this a different way of doing it? Okay, I'm guessing that's what they mean. The multiply node does, as its name suggests, it multiplies one input by another input. Using multiplication, we can change a pixel's brightness without affecting its hue or saturation. Below is an example of decreasing the brightness. Give me 1 sec just to write something. A friend who was trying to help me with resources before recommended this, and I just want to share with him. In essential concepts. Is it in here? I think it is. I just feel it wasn't in order, but that's just me wanting it to be presented nicely for me, I guess. Yeah, this is sort of what I wanted. Damn it all. Only through telling my friend about it, saying that, oh, I couldn't find a nice introduction thing. And then there's how-tos in there. I don't think, did the main material topic say like there's how-tos and that on here? No, it didn't. It just kind of, there's no link to them. That's a shame. Oh, right, so now we're halfway through like 3 different tutorials. I prefer not to do videos. I think I'm probably tempted to, as much as this has started off fine, I might try and, now that I found the right kind of what I was looking for initially, I might go with that. So we have this essential concepts, and then we have how-tos in here that will let us look at how to do different things. So that might be all right. It's been a bit stressful, brain, mate. How you doing, fella? Just trying to find decent content to look at. But I finally found what I thought was here, but I didn't see it initially. So you go into materials initially, brain, and it doesn't have like a quick start or anything like that. And then I tried going on the next 2, and I was just like, these look really confusing, and they don't make much sense. It also doesn't help the Unreal bloody servers. Like, look how long it's taking to show a flipping web page. Oh, just trust me that this has content on it that isn't like a start thing. Yeah, so I messaged a friend of mine in work, Brain, and asked if they had a recommendation, and they said actually the documentation for materials and that is actually quite good. It's really bothering me how much everything is going wrong today. I'm very hard not to get agitated. So then what happened, Brain, is I started doing this video course, which was annoying and crap in its own right, the way this website works. I'm sure they spent lots of money revamping it, but I just found it very unpleasant. We downloaded the files, nice 1.6 gig, and then it wouldn't open in Unreal, but now it's finally it's still doing the shaders now. So, you know, I might do that separately. For now, I think what we're going to do is just what I started to read through recently. We're really going over the basics about like color channels and stuff like that is really what I wanted. So I am probably just going to do that sort of thing. So this quick, no, wrong page. This. I'm just going to grab some water and then we'll get reading through this. Okay. So let's get through this then. I might chuck some more music on to try and relax me a bit while we go through this. Okay, materials are one of the most critical aspects for achieving the look you want for objects and levels. This document serves as a quick and high-level way to get started creating your own materials. That's kind of what I want. Great. If you're already familiar with material creation from previous iterations of Unreal Engine, then you may be interested in the Quick Start Guide, which, where is the Quick Start Guide? You might be interested in the Quick Start Guide that we don't link anywhere. Good. Well, cheers for that, Unreal. That's just, honestly, sometimes the documentation is absolute gash. Anyway, with that quick start guide unavailable, let's just carry on. Currently shows off all the key properties you need for most of our physically based material system. Okay, material expression nodes and networks. The first and most important thing to know about materials is that they are constructed not through code, but via a network of visual scripting nodes called material expressions within the material editor. Each node contains a snippet of HLSL code designed to perform a specific task. So this code is apparently like code to run on your GPU, I think. This means that as you construct a material, you are creating HLSL code through visual scripting. And that's what some other game engines use as well, to my understanding. In this case, we have a very simple network defining a hardwood floor. However, material expression networks need not be so simple. It is common to just have some materials that have many dozens of material expression nodes within them. You can find documentation on all the available material expressions in there. Okay. So this, for example, we have it doesn't explain what any of these are. We have a text chord. Don't know why that's there. We have a texture sample. We can guess why that's going into the color. We're telling it how metallic it is. We're telling it how rough it is. And then the normal is just this blue, which means that it's flat, I guess, that the light bounces off it all on the same angle. That's what I'm reading from this. Okay, you may know colors in terms of digital imagery is broken into 4 primary channels, which is R, G, B, and A for alpha, meaning like the transparency of it. As with all digital images, for each pixel, the value of any of these channels can be represented by a number. Much of the work of a material is simply manipulating these numbers based on a series of circumstances and mathematical expressions. Materials use floating point values to store color data. This generally means that values for each channel range from 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 255 as they do in some image editing applications. It's important to note that you can always override values, which in some cases result in special behaviors. So that's overdrive, not override, sorry. For instance, if sending a color into the emissive input of a material, which causes a glow, then a value greater than 1 will increase the glow brightness. When thinking about materials in UE4, hey there, Lucky Feathers. Thank you, Brain. Okay, where were we? Brightness. Yeah, when thinking about materials, keep in mind that many expressions operate independently on each color channel. For example, the add node takes two inputs and adds them together per channel. If you add together two RGB colors through channel vector values, the output color will be... Yes, okay, that's just telling me how you add two vectors together. I get that. Nodes that perform per channel operations generally need inputs of the same number of channels. For example, you can add an RGB color to another RGB color, but you cannot add an RGB4 channel color to an RGB, like one with alpha to an RGB color, because RGB does not have an alpha channel. This causes an error and the material will not compile. The exception to the rule is when one of the inputs is a single channel scalar value. When this happens, the value of the scalar is simply applied to all of the other four channels. So yeah, if you're timesing things by 2, it'll times to all of them. Yes, that's fine. If it's just like a pure value. Probably a crash. Good old Unreal. Okay, textures. In the case of materials, textures are simply images that provide some sort of pixel-based data. This data might be the color of an object, how shiny it is, its transparency, and a variety of other objects. There's an old-school mode of thought that texturing is how you apply color to your game models. While the process of creating textures is still critical, it's important to think of textures as a component of materials and not the end result themselves. Okay, so think of textures. You don't put textures on a model. You give textures to a material which is applied to a model, and not to bypass that step in our logic. I've lost where I am. Sorry, it's not the end result. Okay, second paragraph. A single material may make use of several textures that are all sampled and applied for different purposes. For instance, a simple material may have a base color texture, a specular texture, and a normal map. In addition, there may be a map for the emissive and roughness stored in the alpha channels, one or more of the textures. That's another thing that happens. So because you have like RGB values, and quite often you just need on or off, like black or whites, like it's either 1 or 0, right? If that's even if not, actually, it doesn't even matter if it's 0 or 1. If you can use a texture, you can use one of the channels of a texture in order to represent a 0 to 1 value that can be used for anything. Is basically what I'm trying to say. So that's why it says here that it might use roughness and emissive within an alpha channel for one of these textures, because maybe your textures don't use alpha. And so you can just utilize that texture's spear channel to store some extra data. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird way of doing it, but it saves you needing a separate texture to represent these extra things that only need one channel, effectively, of data. Yeah, me neither, which is why we're trying to look at them this year. And Spacey works in 3D modeling. But then, are you expected to know about materials and stuff, Spacey? And sorry if this epic flashing thing is annoying you. I didn't select where it was. I'm really struggling to focus today. Sorry, people. He was just talking about these, wasn't it? Okay, you can see that while these all share the same layout, the colors used are specific to the purpose of the texture. Once created, well, where can I see that? I don't know what it's on about. Anyway, I think it's just referring to this, but it's like, yeah. Once created and imported into Unreal Editor, textures are brought into a material by way of special material expression nodes, such as texture sample nodes. You can see these in the hardwood floor example above. These nodes will make a reference to the texture asset, which exists outside of the material and can be found separately in the content browser. Unlike some 3D applications, there's no way for material to contain its textures, so they're separate. They need to point to it. Information about textures and texture creation, please see the textures document. Okay, much of what you can do with materials is driven by the various properties that you set on the material itself, as well as how you connect the material expression node network that defines it. Before we can truly unleash the power of Unreal's engine's material system, it would be a tremendous benefit to look over the properties and inputs available. I opened this already. Expression reference. Inputs. Okay, so this actually talks about. Okay, this is actually good to look at. I think I won't look at it right this second, but. That one's okay. And then material properties. Oh, this is the... Okay. Yeah, I do feel that we need to look at these. It makes you feel better. You're not alone. That's why... that's what Epic employees do too. Do which bit, sorry? Oh, just click on buttons until it looks decent. We won't quote you on that, Spacey. Don't you worry. Top secrets. Okay, so this is good. Oh, this one looks a little bit more like it's not going to be nice reading, to be honest with you. And then the texture ones, oh gosh, there's so much for everything, isn't there? Okay. Let's go back and just, I think the one thing I'd be interested in looking at is these. I think this is a nice thing to look at, probably. The material inputs, but we'll carry on with the basic guide thing for now, I think. Where were we at? Here, right? Okay, applying into surfaces. The way in which you apply materials varies based on the surface. If it's a mesh, you handle it in many ways. Great, just one will do. Yeah, okay, we've done this before. Static mesh and then apply the material. You choose it there. Yeah, that's fine. We've done that sort of stuff before. Oh, I love this. This is how you do Unreal this is the same everywhere else. You don't need to bloat a tutorial showing how to do it in different ways. You want a material to become the default for a given mesh. Be sure to set the material in the mesh's properties. Yes, okay. No, sorry, nothing really useful there. Okay, brush surfaces. So this brush surface is not like the blocking out stuff where you can just make like squares and slopes and stuff like that, and cylinders and that. Get a material from it, click on what you want to assign a texture to, and then there's a surface material that you can just apply. Great. Oh, that is literally it on the essential materials. Right here, more. All right, we will just. I opened it. We don't really have any files and that to use, but we'll just start a quick new project. So. This stuff seems useful-ish. Alright, it always opens on my second screen. I wasn't ready for that. Okay, let's just make a basic game. I can't remember if blank comes with this. We don't really care much about it. I think I might just chuck a character thing in there for now. Actually, no, it'd be surely blank should be fine. But then, I can't even remember in a blank project, does it even have a skybox and the light and that? And I really can't be bothered to set up that environment. So let's just go first person for now, I think. Is this in Blueprint or is this in code? I forget where it asks you whether you want it in code or whether you want it in. Yeah. We do want starter content for this. Okay, let's get started on that. So material inputs, whenever you make a new material, you get a bunch of these nodes that you are basically connecting the textures and the mathematical expressions. The result of those apply to the textures too. And these become more available based on the properties, if I remember correctly. Basically, when you select it, you have these options down here, and based on what you choose for some of these choices, it will change what is available here, as much as I remember at least. Not all inputs will be used for every type of material you create. For example, when developing a light function, a material that is applied to a light, you can only use the emissive color input on the material. And nothing else. Since other inputs such as metallic or roughness would not be applicable, because of this, it's important to know that what type of material you're creating before you start worrying too much about its inputs. The three so many pop-ups. The three primary controlling properties in this area. The blend mode, this controls how your material will blend in with the pixels behind it. Shading mode, this defines how light is calculated for the surface of the material. And material domain, this controls how the material is intended to be used, such as whether it's meant to be part of a surface, a light function, or a post-process material. Fortunately, it removes the guesswork from which inputs you need. As you change these, it'll say, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. So base color is the first one here. If taken from the real world, this is the color when photographed using a polarized filter. I guess that's saying that if you're trying to sample real colors. I don't know. That sounds so complicated. Okay. So we have. Yes, great. Oh, sorry, that's massively loud for you people. I forgot about that. Turn down my Unreal noise. Sorry. I'm wearing headphones, but they're connected to my phone to listen to music. Hopefully that's a little less loud. Or is that still obnoxiously loud? Going very nicely, is it? Proper laggy. Better. Okay, good. Yeah, I turned down. I think I said laggy. I don't know. I've probably been paused. Anyway, so we now have a square, and we need. Oh my gosh, why is it going so slow for me? Everything's triggering me today. It's making me sad. Okay, meshes we have some materials in here. These are the base materials, which it's lagging out again. I mean, it's that I'm guessing that's what is making it go slow at the moment. So the base material here just has a diffuse color, which takes the RGBA channel, isn't it? Or not? I don't even know what a diffuse is compared to like having a texture. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm used to working with textures. I'm guessing diffuse color is just a way of saying what color without having a texture, possibly. Oh my gosh, it's so unresponsive right now. I don't like. Point of this is to learn and not like in a nice environment, and I just get so flipping triggered by some things. And I don't want to spend my Sunday stressed. Like I got enough weekdays in my week at work to feel stressed. Okay, let's just make a Dan material, shall we? Perfect. So this is that thing that we talked about earlier, and they were saying that you're able to change these, and that will change how that looks over there. Okay, so we need to know what kind of nodes can go into these. So I'm used to having like a texture one. So if we have like a texture sample, I think it's called. Yeah, that. So if you have a sample, you then pass that into the base color. But we don't have. This is going to say, yeah, it misses one. So if we just make a simple one, I mean. Let's just do 8 by 8. Oops. Don't know why we're doing 8 by 8. I'm going to do 16 by 16 in case we want to draw something. Okay, we got this. Let's just fill this with white. Okay, and then let's export this. It's in Monthly Gamedev Challenge folder. Okay, great. So I've saved that. Let me just import this in, I guess. We're going to here, textures. We've got a cross here, but we're going to add our own one in. So I just need to open picture. I just put in. I swear did I not export this? Did I browse but not actually change? Okay, save. There we go. Okay, so within here, I now have that tiny little white 16 by 16. We're going to drag that in to import it. I mean, it was meant to import it. I dragged it in. No? What is going on, for fuck's sake? Excuse my language. Okay, second time it wanted to work. First time it decided it wanted, and that's okay. You're not causing stress. And then save it. That's what it said to do before. Great. So now we have this white texture. So we could then say, hey, here is your texture sample. So when we are looking at, I really don't know why it's like the editor's going so absolutely terribly for me today. It's pausing the whole Unreal direction right now. Visual Assist, that is. Okay, hopefully this goes a bit smoother now. It's probably that that's making everything go slow. Okay, so I think I called it white. There we go. So we've got our texture now. There we go. So we've got a white blob. Ship it. We're ready. We understand materials now. So do we get to give it an emissive color as well, right? So emissive color by default. I don't know if you'll see. Yeah, you can. Is that glowing more than it was? I think it is. It's hard to know because it looks like it has high dynamic lighting in there. No, it definitely is, isn't it? All right, so one thing you can do, so you can have a multiply node here. I think. And if we want to set this to a hard value of, I don't want it to be a parameter, I just want to give it a number. You have to click on it here and, okay, like that. Okay, so if we want to times it by a much brighter number, should make it really, those No Man's Sky orbs. So that's what I was saying earlier when we read about emissive color, that you can go above the 0 to 1 scale. So now if we save this and we apply this to one of our boxes, there you go. You can have a new material. Are you excited? Was it Dan material? There you go. Fantastic. Look at that. There we go. We have a glowing orb. I mean, I really should make the thing that we shoot be glowy instead. That would be cool. Some interesting shadow stuff going on there, isn't there? Is that like a reflection of it? In that, I think it is meant to be. I don't know what that is, though. Hey, Pokebadley, nice to see you. Okay. So, where's the weapon? No, I want to know where the projectiles are. No. Where's the projectiles? We've got the weapon. Is there? Oh. This thing. Projectile mesh. Ah. I guess we could probably go into this and change it to my one. Dan material. Here we go. And now, I hope we shoot glowing orbs. Ship it. We will call this glow gun. There we go. Who wants to buy my game? Oh, you're welcome. I think he might be streaming at the moment. I'm not 100% if he still is. But he will stream. If he is, you can go say hi to him. Say thank you. But anyway, welcome. Feel free to use all of the pig horses that you wish I play poker badly. Okay, I need to stop shooting things. Oh, for my game, the price isn't below. No, I'm not going to pay you to have it. I don't think that's a good idea. Okay. So then let's look at some of these other things and then try and play around with it, I guess. And also, I mean, realistically, this is nice. I mean, it looks cool, but we probably don't want to actually do that. So I'm going to just turn it back to normal white texture. That's fine. Now, I'm not too sure how you do it if we wanted that texture to stretch to them. For example, if we were in here, hold on. And let's say we want to design this to actually look like a wood crate that we were doing in our example earlier. So we need some colors. Where's my color palette in the software? Is it C for color? Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't really matter how good it looks. But we're just going to go for... There we go. Perfect. Wood crate. I know I said I don't care about the colors, but I blatantly do. Bothering me. It bothers me more than it really should. Oh, there's a way where you can do it. Oh, I forgot the tools. There's a way where you can paint over. Replace current color. Oh yeah, so you choose that color. No. Old color. Oh no. No. Okay, so you choose this color and then you go color, replace current color. And I want to replace these. Oh no, that's not going to work, is it? It's just going to change it to everything. All right, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That'll do for now. Okay, so if we wanted to save this then as crate, and then this is they tend to put there's prefixes after them. I can't remember what the color one is. Is it diffuse? Where's my notes? I started writing. Did I mention it? Yeah, D. I think it's the D. So I'm just gonna put D after it for now. Okay. So we could have one where we give this texture our crate. Oh, I haven't imported it yet. Apologies. It's a cute little crate. So we can drop that in to textures. Go, let's save that. And in my Dan material, we can go ahead and change this to the crate. There. Okay, it's going to blur it out. I don't know how to change that around with textures based on the filtering. There's different things you can do when importing it. Like you can change the compression type here. But I can't remember which ones are good or crap or whatever. And user interface before, which are done. But whatever, it's just going to stay like that for now. But if we made our materials, use this then and save, then you can see it's, I mean, it's not really mapped to that very well. That's something I really need to learn how to do. But now we should at least have the crate, and we have a ball made out of that material as well. Fantastic. I wonder, like, how does it know how to map it to this shape? Yeah, I don't want to lose time looking into doing that, especially. But I think it tries to. It's like a UV map, right? So it tries to wrap it around the whole shape like a dice. So I think that's the problem that's going on here. Yeah, you can see the different edges of it, as if it was like a 9x9 grid. Yeah, and that's where like UV mapping and all that, but we're not bothering doing that today. That doesn't matter. So we'll probably go back to. We could make a simple texture as well. Just one last thing. So if we kind of do this, make this white to begin with. I guess we can choose. We want to do like a. We can just do a grayscale, I guess. I always forget how to get rid of when that happens. It's like you choose like a non-transparent color and it messes up in the software. I can't remember how to do it at all. Swap those. Okay, so if this is, could do no. Should be able to do like 2 of those at least, which should give us like a checkered sort of shape, right? So we'll make this a. Let's just call it chess, shall we? Okay. And then if we import that quickly too. Like it's still going to be blurry mess. Because it's going to stretch out over the entire shape of this. It's not, but doesn't really matter. There'll be a crap version of that. There you go. That's fine. It's doing some automatic kind of blending there. How shiny that is. Sorry. Okay, so and this, if we learned that, we could make this. I don't know how that would look with the grey. Yeah, I'm gonna say you lose the grey completely there. All right, what were we looking at? All right, was it this thing? Yeah, but what the base color means, and we'll go on to some of the different things now. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so we have the metallic. Metallic input controls how metal-like your surface will be. Non-metals will have metallic values of 0. Metallics will have values of 1. For pure surfaces and pure metals, pure stone, pure plastic, this value will either be 0 or 1, not anything in between. When created things like corroded, dusty, or rusty metals, you maybe need some value between 0 and 1. It's either metallic or not. Also, what's this node they keep putting in? Can you just, is there just a color one? No. Jeez. No. How'd you just put in a color like with this? Is it just, do you just put in a vector 3? Yeah, I think you do, don't you? If we wanted to make this, oops. It's that pink color. So we could multiply that. What's that in? Here we go. Wonderful. So we could just use that as well directly. Just to make something pink. Okay. Sorry, Spacey. I was a bit slow to see your comment. Same with you, Admiral. I had another window popped up over it. You're a strong, independent woman who doesn't need your help. No, thank you for helping. I generally didn't look. Okay, so the metallic is just saying it should either be 1 or 0. Can we just promote this? So that is a 0. Was the value? So many numbers here. No, this is default. Is default value what we're meant to do to set it? So if I set that as 1, does it then become more? There we go. Yeah, you can see. It's like a brand new shiny pink car. Fantastic. Okay. That's our metallic. It says you don't really need to go in between, it was saying. If we'll be able to notice the in-betweenness. You kind of do, don't you? Okay, whatever. That's fine. We'll carry on reading. So instead of promoting it to variable, I think they just did press 1 and click to get a number in, is they? They did. And in here, oh no, we don't need a big version of it. We just need to give it a value of 1 or... Yeah, that's clearer than having these parameters. Let's move these away for now. Okay, specular, when you're editing a non-metallic surface, there's sometimes you want to adjust its ability to reflect light. Specifically its specular property. To update a material specular input, scale a value between 0, non-reflective, and 1 fully reflective. Default specular is halfway. So this is saying if it's non-metallic. Let's get this stack to 0. Hold 1 and click specular. Should we make this a more of a tutorial thing? I mean, I don't think I need to say 1 or 0 on this, but the specular maybe. So non-metallic, how shiny? Defaults to 0.5. Okay, if things go back that way, that's fine. Okay, so if at the moment it's this, you can see it has actually 0. Yeah, okay. Because before it did still have a bit of a, like you can see the light there. You see that little bit of shine on it? That's the default. But if you went for 0, you have that like solid color. You can't even tell that it's 3-dimensional. Well, the shadows, I guess, is doing that for us. But then if we change that to 1, that's like as shiny as you can get for a non-metallic surface. Okay. Controls how rough or smooth materials input surfaces. Rough materials scatter reflected light in more directions than smooth materials, which controls how blurry or sharp a reflection is, or how broad or tight a specular highlight is. The roughness of 0, smooth, results in a mirror reflection, and a roughness of 1 is a diffused matte-like one. Frequently be mapped onto your objects in order to add most physical variation. Add the most physical variation to the surface. So this is where you use this to say, this is basically saying the bits which are black here are going to be really shiny, and then the other bits are effectively like dirt and that, which is stopping the light from bouncing off as clearly. Okay, I don't think we're going to get a great example of that. Just through looking at this. Well, I mean, it does actually show how shiny it is. Whereas if we did this, it's still shiny, right? But it's being diffused. I mean, what if it's not metallic at the moment? I guess if we made it metallic as well. It's quite strange. I didn't know what to expect there. Maybe if we just make it like 0.8 instead of 1. Roughness always gives a stronger effect than specular. Half-ass, meaning half effort, or just do it like half as strong, do you mean? You're not being quoted, don't worry. Don't worry, it's fine. Point 2 has got it quite shiny, but you can see the difference between 0.2 and 0, right? So you can see the buildings are a bit blurry there, which if we do that, it's literally like a mirror. Yeah. Okay. I went through that essentials guide, Brain, but it didn't really go through. It said, oh, you should try the quick start guide. There's no link to a quick start guide. I don't know where the flipping quick start guide is, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just literally I'm just trying to play with stuff now. I'm going through what it says the different things are. I don't know what any of these are. I like how it's given such a true example to try and help show how this works, but you want to go between -1 and 0. I didn't watch the link you sent, no Brain. I wrote it down in the link, but I haven't watched it. I'm already, sorry, I just felt a bit stressed already, like starting 3 different approaches to trying to learn it. I didn't want to just give up and want to look at another right off. Okay, anisotropy tangent. Oh, can't even say that word. Anisotropic. Control how anisotropic the roughness of the material is and light directionality. Okay, so is this because it diffuses? I think the thing with roughness is it pushes the light into random directions, right? So is this a way for you to control the way in which it does that? Yeah, I have no idea about those things. I'm not going to bother playing with them. I don't think either. Trying to work out what the difference is. Oh, there's a line down here. Yeah, I mean, this one does look more like, I don't know, like spikes of metal or something. I don't even know what it's meant to look like. Whereas this one just has the same either side, which looks rubbish. The oh my gosh, anisotropic response is controllable using a value between -1 and 1. Value of 0 has no effect. It's like how much it pushes it out. I don't really know what I'm. Use the tangent to define the light directionality within a texture or vector expression. So what? Like this is equal distribution, whereas this is unequal distribution. Isotonic. That's what's in the Lucasade drinks, right? Isotope stuff. Alright, so buy Lucasade. That's the conclusion. I'm down with that. Alright, so that roughness, I don't really get those two things, but right now I don't care enough about it as well. Okay, so the emissive brightness will glow. This will receive a mask texture, mostly black except the areas that need to glow. Values greater than 1 are allowed as a HDR lighting is support. Right, okay. Opacity is used when you're using a translucent blend mode. Blend mode being how it interacts with the pixels behind it, if we remember correctly, I think. Typically for translucent, additive, or modulated materials, you can input a value between 0 and 1 where 0 is completely transparent and 1 represents fully opaque. Full color emissive. If you push a surface in one direction, it has friction X, the other direction has friction Y. So a non-even friction based on the direction you're pushing it. So as if it was like a bottom of a shoe which has grip that goes in one direction, but not in the other, I guess. Okay, opacity is used. Oh yeah, we looked at that. Opaque and masked blend modes also use opacity when using one of the subsurface shading models. I don't know what that means. Right, opacity mask. Similar to opacity, but only available when using mask blend mode. As with opacity, it takes in a value between 0 and 1, but unlike opacity, varying shades of grey are not seen in the results. When masked mode, a material is either completely visible or completely invisible. And this makes it a perfect solution where you need materials that define complex solid surfaces, such as a wire mesh, chain link fences, and so on. The opaque portions will still respect lighting. You can use the opacity mask clip value property on the base material node to control the point where the clipping takes place. See the mask blend. So like with the, I don't know. We tried this before, right? This is where we did the multiply by. Oh, not normal. All right. Into this one. There we go. So it glows pink, happy days. A little less. Well, I thought it was meant to be less glowy. It's just still very glowy. 10 is an optimum level of glowing a little bit. Magical. Actually, it doesn't really seem like it's glowing enough now. We gotta go back up higher numbers. So. Okay, fine with that. So the opacity mask. This is based on the material, whether or not you go into blend mode and masked, was it? The opacity mask, it says you can just give it, it's either full or not. So can we give this I don't know, because it, oh yeah, did it work? Yeah, it did work. It was either 1 or nothing. Okay. So, whereas if we put that into opacity and it wasn't opacity mask, let's try that. So let's click onto this. We just want to go, is it translucent? And we want to feed this into opacity instead. It should be like half, I'm expecting. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That was worthwhile for me. You can see through those bits, but not those bits. So if you use opacity, it will take varying values. Whereas if you do the masked one, it's either on or off. One equals unlit. Yeah, one is, yeah, it's not emitting color, right? Emitting light, sorry. It's, but anything over that it then does. Okay, that's fine. Now make it partially translucent but shiny. Don't do that if you're already frustrated. I don't think it matters. I mean, it's meant to already be shiny, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you can notice it with this, to be honest. I might just, it's easier for me to just do it like these, because you can just see the numbers without clicking on the nodes. For me, it reads easier. So this is the opacity, is it? Oh, this was our multiplier. the emissive thing, right? Sorry, my bad. That is the really bright thing. Yeah, sweet. Okay, but we don't want to use that. That was the wrong one. Okay, so now we just have this, but you're saying, can we make it shiny? I guess it's not shiny at the moment, is it? Oh, but you can't have roughness as well. It doesn't use those values. I see what you're saying. Is that what you were getting at? It's only when you have those that you can make it shiny. Is that what you meant, Spacey? My throat is. Where's the setting gone on this? Well, stuff like additive. No, additive doesn't have it either. Alright, yeah, I don't know how I'd do it, unfortunately. Let's just go back to that for now, eh? Happy days. Shiny pink balls. Okay. So that's fine. Normal. So the normal we talked about is the direction the light bounces off, right? For a significant physical detail. Yeah, I love, like, look at that. It's great. By perturbing the normal or facing direction of each individual pixel. So then that gets used with the lighting, right? But are you seeing the same static mesh? The lower one exhibits a highly detailed normal map, which provides additional details, giving the illusion that the surface contains many more polygons than have actually been rendered. Normal maps are often created from high-resolution modeling packages. That goes into the normal. I don't know what the ambient occlusion is there for. Isn't that just it? No, ambient occlusion exaggerates the kind of crevices and stuff, if I remember correctly. I think, anyway. I'm not too sure how we can actually do that on our sprite, on our model at the moment. I guess the fact that we have really low textures isn't helping. Tiny textures. Can we turn this into a cube instead? Add shadows between intersecting faces. Okay. So, I mean, we've made this so far. Don't you have to use the right colors as well, though? I can't just make one up. I'd have to do a UV thing, and I don't know how to do that. And also, I'd need to see how it's mapped and stuff like that. So maybe it doesn't really matter right now, I guess. I understand what it is. It's just, I guess I don't know how to really make one. Well, kind of, I can imagine drawing one, but when you have the colors, I know there's like the colors is just a wheel of color which refers to a direction. You're basically just mapping which direction the pixel is facing, so to speak. But yeah, I don't think I can just make that up. It's effect array. Can generate it, yeah, but I guess I don't have a texture, right? But that's what I've seen you do before, Brain, where you put up a texture and then it tries to auto-generate it, right? Okay, world position offsets. World position offset input allows for the vertices of a mesh to be manipulated in world space by the material. This is useful for making objects move